everybody, it's Chris Eads, known online as Wootini, here with another Gay Gamer video podcast. I wanted to start by mentioning that I recently celebrated a birthday, and I was very excited to see what Animal Crossing New Horizons would have to celebrate there, because I expected it to be a little bit more than previous games, because, you know, it should be. And I was pleasantly surprised that there was, because it's the same as before. Someone brings you to their home and there's a surprise party. You get one additional guest this time, and you blow out your candles and you get your present. But after that, they actually had a piñata that you smash. It's not a lot. You smash a piñata, some cupcakes fall out, and then that's your other present, floor cupcakes. Just doesn't seem right. Candy is better, it's wrapped, it's safe, but let's get frosting and cupcake on the floor. Sure. But, you know, so it's not a lot, but I appreciated that it gave you a little something, and that was delightful. So, I'm surprised I was able to avoid spoilers. I didn't actually know what birthdays were, because the game's been out for almost a year now, and I was surprised that I was able to avoid finding out exactly what birthday celebrations entailed in New Horizons. I also played, as I mentioned last episode, I finished Concrete Genie, so I went to try the other modes, the free paint and the VR, and free paint turns out a bit of a misnomer. You're basically you pick an area of the game, and you can go there, and then it's just clean, and you can paint on the walls and stuff with whatever you like, as opposed to what the game was telling you to paint. But free paint, like I said, it's a bit of a misnomer because you're not actually creating things, because you're just using the stamps, I guess you'd call them, the brushes that the game gives you. So it's like, okay, you can paint this tree or that tree, you can paint stars, you can paint a rainbow, and you have a little control. You can say, like, I'll just make the tree this big, and I'll make the rainbow that big, and I'll make double rainbows, and I'll make it zigzaggy or whatever. You don't have as much freedom, and that was fine in the game, where you collected all the different patterns, and then the game would say, okay, I need, like, trees, and a campfire, and a log to sit on, and you would do that, and then you get your reward and move on in the game. But in free paint, you're free to use any images that you want to create whatever kind of scene you want. So, I mean, it's okay, but it's not anything that I'd really spend a lot of time with, because you're not really creating anything original, because you're just using their stamps, basically. As for the VR, it starts out, you know, you're in the basement of the lighthouse, and Scorch is like, okay, paint this, paint that, paint this, and you paint on the walls of the basement to get whatever. And then after you've done what he tells you enough, and you've collected enough new paintbrushes with new things to paint, the whole thing explodes, and then you're in a field. And then once you're in the field, then you can paint like three-dimensionally by putting like flowers and trees and decorations and stuff in the sky and stuff on the ground, and you can do all kinds of fun things. And again, you're limited by the paints, the brushes, the stamps that they give you. You can't paint completely originally in 3 dimensions or whatever. But it's cute enough, and Scorch is adorable. And then there's also another free paint mode within the VR mode, where you can either choose to free paint in the field and put the plants and trees wherever you like and do what you like, or you can go to like a 3-dimensional VR version of a game setting from the town and then paint on the wall. Like, you can go in the cave and you can look around the cave, and then you can paint on the big giant cave wall. And that, to me, was a little bit more fun than the regular free paint on TV, because then you're kind of like, you're in it. And it's just more fun to be like in it, and it makes the canvas really big, and it just feels very like epic and cool, and you're painting, even though you're still just painting with what they give you. Like I said, that didn't bother me within the game, but in a free paint mode, it's rather limiting still. But, I mean, the VR is not like as its own thing, it's not much, but as an add-on to an existing game, it's fine. Like, it's great. Like, it's a good job. So, that was enjoyable. Then, of course, I moved on to my next game, like I said. After I finished all of Concrete Genie, I moved on to Control. Because I'd heard so much about it, and now I finally get to see what all the fuss is about. And I get it. The story is really cool. The performances are great. I had tried it previously, you might recall a bunch of episodes ago. I tried it on the Switch, because it came out for the Switch, and it was one of the cloud streaming games. And I had tried it just to see, like, what the gameplay would be like streaming from the cloud, if it would be, like, slow or hiccupy, or would it even work at all. And it worked fine. And you could choose to focus on, you know, enhanced graphics or, like, enhanced gameplay. It would run smoother. So I had focused on the graphics to see how nice it could look, and it looked nice. But I found like it controlled a little awkwardly, and I thought, maybe if you're going to actually play this, you should pick gameplay and not enhance the graphics. But then I was like, well, it's out for PlayStation Plus. I can play it on the PS4. That'll be the best way to play it, because that's, you know, the system it was originally designed for, so it's fine. And weirdly enough, I found the graphics looked basically the same. Like, I didn't do like a side-by-side comparison, but it looked as I recalled it looking on the Switch. So it's not like the Switch was like a massive downgrade on graphics. And then weirdly enough, I also found that it controlled a little awkwardly too. So that was weird. But that, I think, was just getting used to the controls and the movement and whatever, because very quickly it's been fine. Like, after the initial awkwardness, everything was fine. And I think it was just that the cloud demo was just to see if you could even do it. So it was very, very, very short. So I didn't have time to get used to the controls there. But here I did, so it's been fine. Though also weirdly, like, it looks nice, the lighting is gorgeous, but then there's this weird thing whenever you pause the game, and I paused the game quite a bit to like go play with photo mode and stuff. It's not the best photo mode, by the way. It's very, very, like, minimal. Like, some of the filters are kind of cool, but, like, you don't have a whole lot of control over, like, your photo. Not as much as in some other games. So, it's not the worst, but it's not the best. But when you pause the game, when you try to resume the game and come out of pause, there's like a few seconds before it actually resumes. Like, it sort of hiccups, and if you try to move the joysticks, like, when the game catches on, it's like motion blur, and then you're back in the game. And I'm like, really? What the hell is that all about? Like, coming out of pause, and it like takes a few seconds to like get back in the game? Like, that was disappointing. But I'm also, like, the environment is this crazy office building, so it's like I'm into the game, but I'm not like, it's not a place that I want to explore. It's not like, oh, let's go see what's over here, you know? Like, I'm not as into it as, like, you know, say like the Spider-Man games where you want to explore all over New York City, and there's all kinds of fun nooks and crannies to discover. Or like Red Dead Redemption 2, where it's like this gorgeous landscape, and you just soak it in. Here, it's, you know, this kind of ugly office building with floating people, and you're just like, eh. I mean, it's meant to be that way. It's meant to be off-putting and weird. So, like, they're doing a good job. Like, that's what they mean, so that's fine. It's just, it's keeping me from being, like, playing it for hours on end and not wanting to stop, because I want to see what the next thing is, you know. Because it's mostly about the story, but the story, being a mystery, is very much like they're being deliberately vague and mysterious about what's going on, and they're only giving you what you need to know, because they're parceling out the mysteries and the reveals and whatever. So that's also slightly distancing, you know, like that keeps you, it's, you know, at a distance because you're like, you can't quite get into it because you don't know the characters well enough to care about what happens to them because they're very vague and mysterious. So I'm enjoying Control, but at the same time, I'm not like super into it and addicted to it like some of the best games. But it is good. Although, also, I will say that exploring this office building is not great because it's kind of scary and whatever, which is fine because it's like Resident Evil. It's like, I don't want to go through that door, what's in here? So there's stuff that's very creepy and off-putting, whatever. But my problem is the map is garbage. The map is next to useless. Like, you're there and you're like, wait, do I go this way or that way? And you open up the map and you're like, no idea. No idea at all. Whoever designed that map did not do a very good job. So it is not terribly helpful. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm glad I didn't have to pay extra money for it. It came with my PlayStation Plus subscription, so yay for that. And come back next episode when I will likely have more things to say about Control, having played even more. Oh wait, I just forgot. There was one other thing I wanted to mention about Control, which is I was doing fine until I hit like the first boss, and he's like flying around the room and throwing crap at you, and then these other guards come in from the sides, and it was hard. And I died so many times. And it's super annoying because when you die, you respawn, the checkpoint is all the way back at like the last save point, so it's like really annoying. Luckily the save point was like just outside of that room in this case, so that was helpful. But I've died other times where it's been like, oh, I've got to go all the way back here, and then you've got to like run through all the corridors to catch up to where you were. So that's kind of shitty. But that first boss was rough, and thankfully on Twitter when I complained, somebody was like, oh, I seem to recall that the first boss was really obnoxious, but then the rest of them aren't that bad. So I'm like, okay, hopefully, fingers crossed, because I had heard that the end of the game was really, really hard. And I was like, I'm going to get to the end and I'm not going to be able to finish it. But I got to the first boss and I was just like, whoa, I don't even know if I'm going to get past the first boss. That would be so humiliating. Because also I checked in the options and there's no difficulty slider. I can't bump it down to easy or anything. It is what it is. It looked like there was something in there where you could like, and you could like get like aim assist or something. It would make it easier to hit the enemies with your gun. But I didn't want to turn that on because I need to save that for later when it does get actually difficult and I can turn on a couple of helpful things like that. I don't want to waste it now. So yeah, so that was scary, but I did finally beat him and it was okay. And since then, everything's been fine. I have died a bunch of times because sometimes you just get overwhelmed with enemies and Jessie's not too strong and I keep enhancing her health, but it's not enough and I keep dying sometimes and starting over back there. And then, fingers crossed that I'll actually be able to finish it. I won't be done with it next episode, obviously, but I might have changed my opinion on some of the things about it. And who knows what else I might try to play, or if there'll be some big gaming news, who knows? You'll have to come back next episode and find out. See you then. Bye!